Hey everyone, can't be with you today. Family calls, and so I need to stand in and take care of my girls. Hope you're doing well. Whether it's a substitute teacher standing in or a on-call teacher native to Northern standing in for me, they don't know you, you don't know them. So I am going to ask all the students in this class to be respectful of them and self-enforce the one person to a washroom rule. I know sometimes when people are really needing to go, I sort of, bend that rule a little bit, but this teacher doesn't know you. So be as respectful as you can and follow that rule to the T. Conversations, you know who you are. Conversations to a minimum, please, and keep your voices down because once again, they don't know you and you don't know them. Okay, utmost best behavior, please. Today's lesson is going to be on appreciation and depreciation. So a lot of the things is going to be very familiar to you. I feel like we've talked about this before. I totally forget. But I know we did stuff like this, but I'm going to go about it as if we don't know or try to. Appreciation and depreciation. It's a good idea to start with the actual wording. It doesn't mean you appreciate someone or you make them feel good about it, or you depreciate someone, you make them feel like crap. This is going to be in the context of financial math. It's the idea that something will increase in value or something will decrease in value. And it's a common word that pops up in any time you talk about assets and liabilities, essentially financial math. Okay, very important when you start getting to business, and they'll talk about stocks and they'll talk about investments and talk about business and whatever. We are going to strictly talk about it in a grade 9 level by working with percentages. Now, some of you who know how credit cards and stuff work, you may have heard of something called compound interest, or things where interest is building on top, or the age-old saying, let your money make money. We're not going to go into that, unfortunately. It's the most exciting part, and it's the way the world turns, but we need to know the basics of math for basic appreciation and depreciation. And we're going to be using percents. So as a recap, we need to be able to go from percents to decimals and vice versa. And of course, fractions will sort of come into play as well. Please note, recall, percent is another way of saying per 100. So 20% is 20 per 100. And when you plug that into the calculator, right? Well, I already wrote the fraction, 20 per 100. Okay, so there's no real math to get to here, is there? You just divide by 100. When you plug this into the calculator, you are literally divide by 100, and you will get 0.2 or 0.20. I'm leaving the decimal there because it represents that this being 2 digits, not just one. So there it is. And so if you're dividing by 100 to get to decimals, a decimal to go back, you do the inverse. When you're solving equations, how do you get rid of a division? Well, you multiply. So it's that same idea. So how do I go from fractions to percent? It is easier to go to a decimal because a decimal will help you just multiply by 100. Now 4 over 5, when you plug it into the calculator, you will get 0.8 or 0.80. How does that work? Well, think about it this way. If I want to make the denominator 100, 5 times 20 gives me 100. But you can't just multiply 20 out of nowhere. You can only multiply by 1. So when I multiply by 1, 5 times 20 is 100, but 4 times 20 is 80. Ta-da! All of a sudden, this is 80 per 100. It's 80 per cent, which is same as 0.80. Okay? But again, if you plug 4 divided by 5 in the calculator, they will give you 80 out of 100 pieces. All right? So there it is. So just for good measure, I am quickly going to fill this in because I'm going to end up having to do that anyways. And this can be reduced to 1 over 5, divide by 20, divide by 20. And once again, divide by 20, divide by 20. This is 3 over 5. Let's move. Appreciation is the increase in the value of an asset. Depreciation is the decrease in the value of an asset. That can happen for a lot of reasons. Typically, though, we're going to talk about it in terms of some generalities. What are some examples of things that might go up? I would, at this time, ask people to raise their hands and give inputs, but since I'm not there with you, I will talk about some of the more common things, like real estate. Okay, real estate, typically, if you look at the past, I'm going to say 100 plus years, it has always consistently gone up. Yes, it went down during some recession times or even depression times, but in general, it's been going up at an exponential rate. What are some other things that can go up in value? Some things that come to mind are maybe collector's items or collectibles. Collectibles? Is it collectibles? I don't know. Oh my gosh, why does that look so wrong? Anyways, collector items. Let's just say collector items. Things like rare coins, Pokemon cards, old electronics and TVs, or a rotary phone that you don't see every day. Things that you can say is from a long time ago. Okay, and there's a reason why those kinds of things actually appreciate. But the only thing that comes to mind is real estate, collector's item. Anything else? Any niche item? You can put whatever you want in there. Some kind of niche product. Okay, I guess. Nothing really comes to mind because my brain is tired. Now, depreciation is fun. I got some for you. Cars. They say that once you buy a car and drive it out of the lot, it immediately depreciates because you can't sell it at the same value you bought it for. What are some other things that can depreciate? Oh, I got another one. Electronics. Sort of like your phones. Okay, there's a new phone coming out every year or every other year or whatnot. And the old versions, they will go down in price. Okay, so something else, again, nothing really comes to mind, but I'm sure there are other things that would depreciate. Why do they appreciate or depreciate? There's the same reasons, but opposite in direction. Here, there is a high demand. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants it. If everyone wants it, like an auction, people will bid for it, and they'll pay a high price because they want that prestige of having it. Depreciate, there's a low demand. Nobody wants it, so why would you even keep it? It's basically trash if nobody wants it. Along with high demand, there could be low supply. I feel like we've done this before. Okay, low supply being everybody wants it, but there's none. Sort of like that example I gave with the GPUs and video cards for computers during the COVID session. The low supply of precious metals. That's why there was always a backlog for Teslas and other vehicles. Even right now, if you want to order a minivan like a Honda Sienna, is it Toyota Sienna? You have to wait like a good 1 to 3 years. If you want a Tesla Cybertruck, I know someone who ordered their Cybertruck 4 years ago. They finally got it. It's wild. In the opposite hand, if there is high supply, let's say something was a really hot item, and so you made 1 million of it, and then suddenly there's so much out there that no one wants to buy it anymore, right? High supply. Appreciate, what else could appreciate? I guess someone's putting value on it. I'm not sure what to put the third one, but for depreciate, I could imagine something was a fad or a dying trend. Okay, long time ago, what was a fad that sort of disappeared? Gosh. The only thing I could think of right now, just because I've been a teacher for so long, there was a fad where all the boys seemed to wear their jeans underneath their butt, like right underneath their butt, showing their underwear and everything. It was gross. What's more, it was weird because in the South, over the States, that was actually a symbol in prison to show there was a sign for something. It wasn't a very, yeah, it's a little unsavory. I don't want to talk about it, but it's just weird trends. Okay, what else was a trend when I was in high school? These big crazy chains, like bike chains, but you just wear it, or like wallet chains, and you just wore it on your jeans. That was a huge trend. And sterling silver chains were really, really popular, and now nobody wears them. Anyways, I think you get the point. Fad or dying trend. Okay, so how do we go about calculating it? Well, I'm going to show what the math behind it is. Okay, so if you get a question like this is how I hope you will show your work. And then we'll talk about how to calculate the actual value of appreciation and actual value of depreciation as a percentage. Okay, here we go. The appreciation, depreciation example. Dylan's parents bought their house 5 years ago, 551,000. They sold it yesterday for 788,000. How much has a house value increased over the last 5 years? Here's one way you could do it, using ratios or fractions. For example, if I go from, so the ratio is going to be before to after, is the same as 100% before to X% after. You get what I'm saying? You could do it this way. You can also do 551,000 is to 100%, as is 778,000 is to what percent? Is to what percent? You can do it in so many different ways as long as you are making that connection. Before to after, or this is now, this is later. Like, you can make so many different, as long as it makes sense. Okay, so whatever the ratio you decide to set it up, you can try your calculations. If you are having some trouble showing your work, quote unquote, then you can turn this also into a fraction, because we learned that this is before to after is the same ratio or same fraction as before to after. Now, if you don't want to do percent because you don't like it, you can also do 1.002 x, right? So clearly this is going to be a larger number. If I want 100 and let's say 140%, it's going to turn out like that. If you did it as a 1, x value will be 1.40. It will work out. But in any case, let's do this. Now, typically it's not nice to have the x value in the denominator, so you can do something about that. You can always do after over before and after over before. But since I wrote it this way, let's go hard mode. When you have a fraction, what is it that's making you feel uncomfortable? Probably the fraction. I am going to get rid of the fraction by multiplying both sides by x. Okay, so multiply by x, multiply by x. This divides into a 1, leaving the right side as 100. And the left side is this entire fraction times x. 551,000 over 788,000 x. Okay, we're moving on. I still don't like the 788,000 on the left side. But seeing as how it's dividing, I'm going to multiply both sides by 788,000. And it gives me left side being just 551,000 x. And on the right side, it's 788,000 and then another 2 zeros. At this point, it should be familiar. How do you calculate the x value? Divide both sides by 551,000. Let me quickly do some math. So 788,000 divided by 551,000. I get 143.01. What does that mean? If 551 is 100%, 788 is 143. Therefore, it increased 43% in 5 years. And there it is. So when in doubt, I actually recommend setting up a ratio or a fraction or an equation using fractions. I think it's the most logical way to show your work. Okay, so it uses your skills with ratios. It uses solving equations, right? Doing the same thing on both sides, and then in that same breath, solving for x value. The same ratio can be set up for depreciation. Check it out. You have to sort of interpret it a little bit though. Dylan purchased his first car 5 years ago. He paid $10,000 for it. Dylan is now trying to sell it. The highest offer is $6,000. How much has the car's value lost? Value was lost over the 5 years. Now I know some of you with the numeracy skills, you'd be like, "Oh, that was a 10. It's a 6 now. That must you lost 4." In terms of 100%, that's 40. Like, I know you can do that in your head, but that's not the point. I need you to show me your work without just reasoning it out via words. So let's set this up. Shall we do before and after? Why not? I'm gonna do let's do 6,000. So this was after over before equals after over before, right? So typically it's before and after. It just rolls off the tongue very well, but I intentionally did after divided by before equals after divided by before as a percent because I want the x in the numerator. And it makes it easy, as I said before, when the x value or the variable is in the numerator, because take a look. How do I get x all alone? All I have to do is multiply both sides by 100. And if I do that, this reduces to 1, and here x equals 6,000 times 100 divided by 10,000, and I get 60. So if 6,000 is to 10,000 is, $6,000 is to $10,000, whereas 60% is to 100%. You see the parallel? I hope you do. So how much of his car value was lost? Well, it was 100, it is now 60. Therefore, 40% was lost. Okay? Whatever method you use, as long as you set it up as an equation, you won't make any interpretation errors. Some people may make silly, careless errors because, if I did it this way, it always worked. Words can start twisting on itself, and you can't go do the same thing you've always been doing. You will make a careless mistake. Okay, I'm saying this in grade 9 because you won't see too many twisted words in grade 9, but grade 10 and on, it's sort of fair game, so it's going to spring on you. Please get some practice just setting up the equation and solving it. Okay, if you have work going all over the place, you really need to work on showing your work. Okay, so let's talk. How do we calculate appreciation if that's what they are asking for? I should step back a little bit. Please also note, there are some questions where instead of asking for, sometimes they will give you before and after, and they're asking for percentage. Sometimes they might give you the percentage, and they want the before and after. So here's an example of the before and after. A bungalow was purchased a year ago for $700,000. If you don't know what a bungalow is, it is a one-story home, no second floor. You might have seen this. They're actually really cute homes, okay? Especially if they're taken care of. If the housing price in the neighborhood has increased by an average of 25%, what is the estimate value of the house today? There's two ways you could do it. You can calculate the total based on an extra 25%, or you can calculate the 25% first. So, for example, what is 25% of the total? You've seen this before. You change the percent into a number you can use for calculations. Of is a multiplication, and 700,000 is still just 700,000, right? I just leave it as a number. I work that out, and I get 0.25 times 700,000. Ooh, 175,000. That's how much it appreciated by. Step 2 is add the appreciation to the total. So the total equals the original 100% plus the extra 25%, which is calculated as 700,000 plus 175,000, giving me 875,000. Flip mode. Sometimes, instead of calculating the price itself, you can calculate the percentage first. So find the appreciated value percent. It's just as before. The total is 100% plus 25%, which is obviously 125. So what is the 125% of 700,000? Just like that. Right? So you're just doing the reverse step, or in the different order. That is 1.25. Remember your percentage conversion. Of is multiplication, 700,000, which should give you 875,000 again. Okay. Around this time, I would ask if there are any questions, but if you do have any questions about any of this so far, put a little star next to it or write it down somewhere on the side saying star, blah, 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 blah. Hold this, email me, or ask me tomorrow. Okay? Our final example is going to be not appreciation, but how to do depreciation. Now, I know a lot of you will be able to do this without thinking much about it, but I want you to be very clear in showing your work, because the idea of depreciation is always going to be 100% minus some rate or some percentage. Okay? And the difference between this number and that number has to be made clear, because a lot of my grade 11s will make careless mistakes. Like there's times in grade 11 where you have to take this percentage that we removed or that we subtracted, that we depreciated by, and we have to depreciate it again and again and again for, let's say, like 20 years. So basically compounding. But some people don't use how much was left over. Some people simply calculate how much do I subtract, and it actually doesn't work properly. It doesn't get you the correct answer. And so please be careful in understanding that the rate that you depreciate by and the rate that you, or the amount that you are left over with, are very different. Okay, so let's do this example. Electronics depreciate quickly. A $750 video game system, probably like a PS5, all you game geeks. This is the money that goes. It depreciates by 40% in its first year. I feel like PlayStations are still going pretty strong, but anyways, calculate the depreciation and then the depreciation value. So what is 40% of 750? We've got 0.40 of 750, right? We've got, let's see, and that would be 300. So this is the depreciation. So what you are doing is getting the value, which is the 100%, and take away the depreciation. So in other words, what we're doing is the 60%, right? This is 750, take away 300, leaving me with 450. So again, knowing how much we are depreciating by and knowing the depreciated value, you have to make the distinction in the English language. Okay? Here on method 2, instead of calculating the depreciation first, I'm going to look for how much is left over. So find the depreciated value, and that value would be the 100% minus the 40%, which is 60%. Calculate the depreciated value is 60% of 750, which is, once again, change the decimal, change multiplication, 750, and the answer is 450. I hope this video is clear. And I'm going sort of fast because I am fairly certain we have done appreciation and depreciation, a variation of that already. So a lot of this might be actually very familiar. Okay, please try all the practice questions that I have left blank, and also try the homework questions. I don't have this for you. I think it's best that you do as much as you can. The lesson wasn't very long, so I'm sure you have plenty of time, even though the class might be a little short. Do as much as you can before you leave, and it'll keep you busy so you don't get to chatting too much. And I will see you tomorrow for the next lesson right there. All right? Work hard, suffer well. Bye.